Thank you for being here. Welcome to the Psychedelic Versus. I haven't recorded an episode in a long time, but I'm restarting some shit and I want to share some things about life, what I've been through. If you care to listen, more than that, I think there's something that's happening right now. I think there's a mass awakening. I don't mean that in any woo-woo flippant way. I mean it just in a pure way. You feel it, you can see it every day, slowly but surely, actually much faster than I expected. But I'm going to invoke something here. As they say, to invoke the muse, I'm going to invite in the Holy Spirit and invite in the abundance. Yeah, yeah, that feels good. I hope that wasn't too loud for the microphone. If it was, too bad. I'm sorry. Maybe I'll put a little sensitivity warning in there for those who are a little fickle, but I'm just trying to weed out the weak ones, to be honest with you. You know, E to be eaten is what I'm saying. No, I believe that we exist through cooperation as well, but definitely survival of the fittest, sharpest, smartest. That also is capable of compassion, nurture, uh, and cooperation. You know, it's all about a symbiotic relationship. Um, Today, I want to talk about shadow sides, shadow work, dark night of the soul, all that shit. Currently, coming out of the midst of one over the last 2 years. Honestly, if I just look back, it's over the last 33 years of my life. It's been pretty profound, though. I mean, I've been humbled. I've failed and gotten back up 1,000 times. I don't know if you could call it even failure at that point. If you keep going, failure is just to stagnate. But I feel like there is a large shift going on right now, internally and externally. I've been doing a lot of house cleaning, inner and outward, and I have a lot more to do. However, I'm not going to let that stop me. There's a lot of resolve that I have, and I feel that we need inspiration. We all need to be kicked in the butt a little bit. It's important to have high standards for yourself, but compassion for others. I believe that's Marcus Aurelius' meditations. It's important to have that tenet constantly flowing through your brain, or else you're going to build a resentment. Not to sidetrack, but just a quick little stoic note. However, internal change, internal shift, and I'm seeing a lot of external shifts right now. We're seeing a civil war happening right now politically in America. I think that's very obvious. If you were just to remove yourself from any political ideology and just look at it purely from a logistical art of war situation, there's clearly a civil war going on that's been going on for a while, but now it's at a certain, it's reaching a crescendo. I mean, we're entering one of the most important presidential elections, on top of the fact that you've never seen another party try to put their opposition in prison as severely. This is unprecedented. And it's pretty amazing to watch history being made. And I think amongst all this chaos, we can get caught up in this collective zeitgeist and get swept away with it, as what happened in 2016. And I think and not to make this completely political, because it's not, it's just paying attention to the motions of our current reality, our shared existence that we all helped create. You saw it happen in 2016 when Donald Trump was elected president. There was an extreme pushback that you've never seen before, and if you start to do some of this shadow work, you realize that the universe is a mirror. And don't get too solipsistic about it. I ought to say that because people tend to get, solipsistic and letting into some type of narcissistic ideation. But I believe that the universe is a mirror, and we project upon that, especially our unintegrated sides. And I think when Trump was elected, he was essentially exposing our unintegrated shadow, the unintegrated shadow of the collective unconscious. That's what he represented, and that's why people pushed back. I think there was a lot of projection going on during that time. I got swept in a little bit as well, but I caught myself. I'm not trying to gloat, but I'm saying, I was pulling myself out of this like sludge out of 2016. I felt that something was going to happen. It was beyond this election. It was like, that's one thing, because I had already seen that election and been through some crazy shit, and then boom, I was telling a great friend, there's something that's going to happen, and we're going to be involved. COVID hits. Before COVID, that's when a lot of my discernment was on point. I was researching a lot, had a lot of time to dive down the rabbit hole, and unfortunately get caught up in some echo chambers at some point, which I had to watch out and like, oh, gotta step back. I did grow up in a cult-ish situation. Talk about that later. Gotta watch out. I have discernment about those situations. However, being hungry for information, I decided to go down the rabbit hole and not put too much judgment or weight into what I was listening to, but taking it in and weighting it against what I already knew. Some things I had to unlearn. Some things were bolstered, if you will. And then COVID hit, and then that's when I started diving deep, and just listening to intuition, logic, and decided not to get the jabber. I think a lot of us have not realized the side effects of that. I'll say that. I'm no expert. I don't want to get I won't say the words. I guess I gotta be good with the algorithm, But good boy. Yeah, I think it's important to take in new information and not let it control you or get you all limbically activated. With that being said, that was part of my personal awakening and watching the awakening that started to occur. And just like any type of inoculation, if you will, there's going to be a visceral reaction, and even people get something called black pilled. There's the red pill where Morpheus is out here and he's like, here, I offer you this option, and you're like, oh fuck, I take the red pill, and then all of a sudden you become, what is his name, fucking Cypher, and you're like, I'm black pilled, and I fucking put me back in, dude. Put me back in. I'm done with this shit, Or you're white pilled, as they say, and you're like, no, there's hope, and we can do this. I'm white pilled, whatever the fuck you want to say it. I don't care. Propagandized. Sure, we're all propagandized. You just gotta choose your own propaganda. Anyway, I've been white pilled. So there's hope for us, and I see the awakening happening. Is what I'm saying. I see the shift. I see it. We're on the precipice. I gotta put my glasses on. Excuse me. Decided not to use them because of the ring light situation, and I don't have time. I didn't make the time, rather, to. Excuse me. Sorry. I didn't make the time to adjust this to compensate for the ring. So I want to look up something really quick. Yes, here we go. Food for thought. Formerly named the Strauss-Howe generational theory, devised by William Strauss and Neil Howe, is what is more commonly known as the fourth turning. And that's apparently the age in which we're entering. I'm not going to sit here and butcher what the fucking fourth turning is, but I'm going to tell you just to look into it. So check those people out. William Strauss, Neil Howe, the fourth turning. I think it's important to understand these things that are occurring right now. There are people who are qualified, who are doing the diligent work and paying attention to cycles that do exist on various spectrums, politically, economically, socially, spiritually as well. Um, we're on the precipice on the precipice of the age of Aquarius, right? So the age of Pisces esoterically represented duality. The age of Aquarius is non-duality. What you see going on right now in the world with the dissolution of boundaries, um, especially in terms of socially, uh, um, progressively, gender ideology as well, that's a huge thing. However, I think that there are powers that be that are aware of these cycles, these esoteric, literally happening on a quantum level that are affecting us, our consciousness, I believe, on a quantum level through the, the movement of the systems and the cycles that we exist in within this specific quadrant of the galaxy. We're affected, I believe. I really believe that. I'm not sure if we can really quite prove it yet, but I think it's getting close, especially with the idea of consciousness and quantum field, that whole soup of shit that I'm not even qualified to talk about. But I do have this feeling, this intention. I'm trying to follow that with logic to help understand it. And I believe that we are affected, like I said. I believe that the people, the powers that be, if you will, are aware of this, like I said, and they are trying to guide it towards a negative end. I believe that we should be integrating divine, masculine, and feminine qualities within to become balanced. And that's how we move on to our next age. We have this age of technology that is akin to magic, okay? But at the same time, we're losing a lot of human qualities through addiction and dopamine harvesting. It's like a dopamine harvesting situation going on. Maybe loosh too, look that one up. But we have to, it's like having a Butlerian jihad, my Dune fans were like that. We gotta find a way to like expand the human mind, our consciousness, and maybe that is done via technology as well, but that takes experimentation and time will tell. So it's hard to go down that rabbit hole without people going down a dystopian lane. So I'm gonna leave that one to the side. However, I do think it's important to understand how our consciousness is affected, and the powers that be are trying to take that idea of balancing the divine feminine and divine masculine, but through an outwardly fleshly way, where it's about a caricature, if you will, and I'm talking about this whole movement that's going on, that's being foisted upon children. I think individuals and adults, I love people who are loud and vibrant, not even literally, but like the way they can dress. If it's all authentic, I love it. I dig it. I want that. Festivals we're half naked or whatever. Sure, we're adults. We can do this. We understand the illusion that we live in, but at the same time, not everyone is aware that a lot of people are still caught in the density, the third density, especially in their mindset. So you can't just be like, well, gender is just an illusion anyway. Like everything's a fucking illusion. How about that? But you can't just say like the norm is. You can't just be yelling on that fucking street corner. No one's gonna listen to you. You gotta do this instead, I guess. I'm trying to do it better. I'm not trying to take a bunch of mushrooms and get a megaphone and yell on the corner. I'm like, we're all one. It's like, dude, chill out. Bring it down. You can't talk down to people. You gotta invite people in, and you gotta invite people in with concepts they understand. And that's not happening right now. So with that being said, I still think there's a very negative agenda focused at the youth. I mean, we learned this if you ever read 1984. You get a hold of the youth. You get a hold of the youth, and you can use them to control the adults as well. And once that foundation is laid for them, that's what they grow up in. You've subverted. You've done what you had to do, and now you have power. That ideological subversion has been happening for quite some time. I'd say the last, just out of World War II, as World War II ended and America gained supremacy, and through the industrialization of food and media, through great people like Edward Bernays, nephew of fucking Freud, that guy, he really did a number on the boomer psyche, which then bled onto us, and then MTV, TikTok generation. Here we go. So And there's only more room for further, I think, confusion and disjointment. So I think this is the precipice we're on right now. This is it. This is the shift that's happening. You know, I'm not saying vote for this guy or that guy. Not even talking about that. I'm just talking about watch what's happening right now. Just see it. 30,000 foot view. You got to get out of you got to get out of your ego. You got to get it out of our body. You know, and trust me, I'm no fucking saint, dude. You know, do I gotta flag this video for cussing? I don't know. I don't want to have to censor myself. That's not what life is about. I want to be vulgar too, but I just want to be real. I almost lost my train of thought. We gotta be vigilant, you know, and set aside ideology and understand that the foundation is to make sure your house is fine, right? To make sure that you're engaging in healthy behavior. You can still balance fun without excessive abuse. This is coming from a person who abused alcohol, to the point where it ruined a marriage with an amazing human being. Although we did have our own toxic traits that we both brought to the table, and that it does, as she once said, it takes two hands to clap, and we both clapped. We gave each other a fucking standing ovation. That's how that relationship was. Trauma bonds, that's one topic to talk about. We'll go through, and that's the whole idea, the psychedelic versus, that's the gimmick I'm running. That's my grift. You gotta grift. You gotta realize everybody's got a grift or whatever. I don't know. I'm not trying to grift. I'm just trying to share some information. I want to add value, and I talk too much to my family. I'm done preaching to people who I love them and they'll hear it, but I don't want to talk their ear off. I don't be disrespectful and like talk on a soapbox. No. If I have something to share, well, how about you go on and you fucking prove it, kid? So I'm like, here we are. We're doing it. So anyway, trauma bonds, toxic relationships, not good. We're in a good place though right now, and I'm grateful for that. And I think my relationship with God has grown stronger because of this situation. Just being shown grace, ultimate grace, and the understanding that the root of forgiveness is understanding. And once you understand somebody, you can forgive them. Once you understand your behavior, you can forgive yourself. Truly forgive yourself. And that's why I believe that people say true love. That's what's the right word? That's redundant, because I think truth is love. I think truth is the ultimate love. That's what I believe. And truth doesn't always feel good to hear or to find out, but it's the best. It is love, because it is no deception, it is no manipulation. It's not trying to coddle or make somebody feel a certain way. It's just trying. You can make somebody feel good and warm with the truth, but you can also make somebody fucking rethink their whole life with the truth. And that's why it is the ultimate love. That's why it is love. Truth equals love.